Now live on EDC Unlocked, co-founder of Nomad, Noah Dentzel. He tells us why Nomad will never run out of product ideas.
At first, it used to be like, what's our next thing gonna be? And now the product list of things we could make is far longer than what we have time and energy and resources to do.
Why they love brand collabs.
You look at these brands that you're excited about, inspired by, and then it's like, wait, we get to connect with them and work with them, and our teams get to collaborate, and we get to do this thing together.
And why community is everything to them.
To say community is important to us would be an understatement, because Nomad is community. Our customers made us possible.
Hey guys, we came up with the idea for EDC Unlocked because we felt there wasn't anything out there that gave the EDC community the opportunity to hear the stories behind big names and brands in the space, whilst also giving them the chance and the opportunity to ask the questions that they've always wanted to ask. For now, this is a limited mini-series, but if you guys want more, then we would love to come back with another series. And so if you do genuinely like the show, please smash a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and please just shoot us a comment with your thoughts on the episode, who you'd want to see on the podcast, on the next episode, and anything else. This 20 seconds of your time really makes such a huge difference, and we'd really appreciate it. Okay, let's get back into the episode. Welcome to EDC Unlocked, and today I'm really excited to have on the show co-founder and CEO of Nomad Goods, Noah Dentzel. And I just really got to apologise to Noah and to well, not to everyone else, but I didn't tell Noah that it was a video interview today, and so he came on and I've just kind of ambushed him at the last minute and told him that it's a video recording. So I'm so sorry, mate. I really appreciate you being a good sport and doing it anyway.
Yeah, Phil, happy to be here. Yeah, I'm a little bit in the raw right now after a long day. Unshaven and all that good stuff, but I guess this way we get a real read on the situation here today.
Well, for the record, I think you look great. I mean, if anything, if you're unshaven, then I think I definitely need a shave. But I just want to say before we get into it, it's really cool from my perspective, and I know Ian, my co-founder and business partner, to have on a brand that we have personally bought from, and we actually knew about you guys before we started Holme and Hadfield, and you guys in so many ways inspire the way in which we run our brand, like your attention to detail, focus on kind of like more of the premium end, and like your general branding is just, yeah, it's something we talk about quite a lot. So for me personally, and I know Ian, when he's watching this, it's just super cool to have you on and to share your story. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it's pretty inspiring to hear someone else say that like what we're doing is inspiring. So that's a nice kind of, it's a nice little energy boost to, because, we've all on a big mission. We started 11 years ago and we're going strong today. So it's kind of cool to be in this stage of the journey where, like, I mean, sometimes we see copycat brands and products, and it can be kind of annoying when it's like they've clearly copied like our logo directly or the product range directly. But it's really cool to see inspiration. And there's so much inspiration that we have taken from all over companies and people and brands and the environment and so many different things. So it's kind of cool to think that we are maybe even having some inspiration to others. Like I don't think about that. I'm so busy in the weeds, but it's so that's definitely cool to hear.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we I think when you're in the weeds and of it in the trenches every day, maybe you don't realise what you're doing is as big as what you're doing. So yeah, I'm glad we acknowledged that at the beginning. As always, I'm going to be a bit selfish. I'm going to ask my questions to begin with, and then we'll get round to the audience questions. Just so I'm intrigued to, you mentioned 11 years. That's not a short period of time to be doing the same thing, like consistently. So could you take us back before you and your co-founder Brian started the brand? Like, what was life like before then? Like, how did you guys meet? And how could you take us through? What were you doing before then, and how did you actually come to start the brand?
So, yeah, great question. It's about 11 and a half years ago that we kind of got rolling on this. I had been living in Spain in 2010 and 2011, and that was where the initial idea formed of having a hyper portable cable that you could always have on you. Looked around, there weren't that many good options at all, actually. I was surprised. And looking on Alibaba and this and that, I was like, okay, cool. I mean, I was also excited to this idea of building something, of building a product. When I was a little kid, I remember calling up one of those dumb invention lines you see on TV, like, have an invention? And then, of course, learning that it's actually quite difficult to really have some novel innovation, especially when you're 13, though totally possible. But this idea was so it's like, okay, wait, I'm not seeing this out there. And also had come across Kickstarter. I loved the crowd and crowdfunding. I had been a couch surfer. I had couch surfed in Iceland, in Denmark, in a few different places, and had just this idea of the internet opening up, connecting people together in a way that might be different than the traditional economic exchange was very interesting to me. And I remember seeing this article on this clock on TechCrunch, and it was a clock that spun around the dial in a whole year. And it was like a perspective on time. It was this beautiful project. And I was just like, that's so cool. I like realizing that this is a way, because how do you build a product? You need money, and you need to like do tooling, and you need to do all these things. And maybe it costs $50, $100, $150, $250,000. And you don't have that as a 23-year-old. And so I actually was not a proper immigrant when I was over in Spain. And so I got an interdiction of entry. Fortunately, I unintentionally re-entered the country before the 1-year ban went into place in the Schengen area. So I knew the whole time that I was over there that I was going to have to leave eventually. When I left, I wasn't going to be able to go right back. And that was a good thing, because I kind of wanted to move on to my next thing anyways. So armed with this idea, and it was really little more than an idea and some idea of a platform, I came back here. On my birthday 11 years ago, my sister introduced me to a friend of hers, Brian Hahn, who remains and is my co-founder, chief operating officer, head of product, just partner in this all 11 and a half years later. And it's funny because the people who know me know I'm not much of a surfer, though I am learning a new surfing sport called wing surfing, which is cool. But we surfed together on that day on my birthday, and I caught a wave. And little did I know that the real wave I was catching was finding this incredible guy who was down to help bring this product into reality. And I was living at my grandma's house at the time here in Santa Barbara, living in her basement. Brian was living on a funky old boat he was kind of fixing up in the harbor. And we were just, ramshackling, nomad-y, just getting by in every which way. And we came together, and we would meet up at the coffee shop at like 7 a.m. every day this one week when we started working together. And on like day 3 or 4, we were both looked at each other. We're like, we don't need to be doing this at 7 anymore, right? We're like, yeah, let's meet up tomorrow at like 10, because we were making sure we're a good fit. Are we committed to this? Are we committed to this idea? So that was 11 and a half years ago. And, Kickstarter got going a few months later, spun it into the e-com on Shopify. First product was ChargeCard, a USB cable size and shape credit card that fits in your wallet. And then, now we're making, and then we launched the Charge Key, which was our second product, more on that later. And at first it used to be like, what's our next thing going to be? And now the product list of things we could make is far longer than what we have time and energy and resources to do. So and they come from all over. They come from within. They come from a late night drinking too much wine, like back in the day, or they come from a customer submission, or out of a conversation with with someone you're sitting next to on an airplane and identifying a need and a pattern and trend. And we're looking to build tools for the modern nomad. And so this what is a tool in this modern era? It's constantly evolving as our with technology. So that's where we are today. That's the short answer.
Wow, you did a great job of summing that all up in a relatively short period of time. I would not have been able to do that, and our story is nowhere near as long. It's really interesting that you said that at the beginning you were like, oh, what are we going to do next? And now the list is just endless almost. And we were talking about that the other day. It's really interesting. You're kind of scrambling around for ideas in the beginning, and then as the momentum starts building, you just get more and more ideas, and then it just becomes more and more frustrating. You can't do everything. In the beginning, when you started, did you think that this was going to be? Did you have a vision for it? Was it like, this is going to be what you've ended up doing, or was it just like, we just want to start something cool? I don't want to go and work in an office. I don't want to work for someone else, and then it just evolved.
Yeah, it was. The best way that I can kind of describe it, I'm known for doing a lot of like metaphors and analogies and stuff. So
Go for it.
So sorry
No, go for it. I like him.
Go on here, but I think that it's almost like an exploration where there was like a vision. It's almost like a treasure map. Like, this is ChargeCard. We need to figure out how to get there. Linked up with Brian, and my sister actually became like the first additional team member. I should note there was a third team member as well who was critical early on in the journey, Adam, but he was more signed up for the initial project on doing that ChargeCard and kind of peeled off as we kept on moving forward with the longer journey of, no, it's not just about one product, it's a second product, a third product, a 100th product. So no bad blood there, but we carried forward on this exploration, and it's kind of like, okay, well, once we get to that island, then we can see what the next island is we get to and what the next peak that we need to climb. And so we were really committed to pushing forward through whatever came, and we were excited for that. And building a fortress, building a company and a brand and a team and a customer base and a bunch of incredible products along the way. But we were sort of excited for that adventure, and we don't know exactly what it's going to be. In fact, had we known more about all the challenges, who knows if we would have even really signed up for it. There were some big challenges, and I don't doubt that, had the great explorers of yesteryear known what they were signing up for, some of them may have not hopped on those ships either.
You guys have you have got quite an obsessed community who are really emotionally bought into your brand. I would say, I've definitely bought your products, but Ian, my business partner, I would say he's definitely one of those. He is emotionally bought into the brand, and in fact, when you guys did the collab with Orbit Key, he was like, two brands that I'm like obsessed with, that that's amazing, I have to go for that. Was that a conscious decision from the beginning that you wanted to invest in community, invest in having in having that close-knit community that would just be waiting for that next product release?
So we, obviously look up to so there's a couple things to go through there. That we in terms of the partnerships and looking at other brands and stuff, we love and look up to and have taken inspiration from really cool companies that have been around and established for a long time, as well as newer ones, like Orbit Key. And I have this little guy right here. This is my keychain, and I have our original charge key that fits right in there, and I have our tracker on that. So it's really so cool to get to a stage where, in partnerships have always actually been part of our program, and in some ways though it's unofficial. We're partnered with Apple. We build products for them. We're an accessory. It's a symbiotic relationship. We build for their flagship devices, Apple, Android, other things as well. But it's really cool to connect with other brands like Orbit Key. We were the first portable cable solution for Pebble. If you remember the Pebble watch, it was so cool. Launched on Kickstarter. It did like $10 million. It was the coolest thing ever. And I wish that they were still around. But we made a product for that. And it's really cool to connect with other crowdfunded companies because there's always a special DNA there and synergy with how we connect. And it's honestly, it's a real compliment and it's just a real special, what's the word I'm looking for? Privilege to do this, because you look at these brands that you're excited about, inspired by, and then it's like, wait, we get to connect with them and work with them, and our teams get to collaborate, and we get to do this thing together. So it's a really special thing. It's often more work and more challenging, but it's rewarding. You learn, and you learn a lot, and you get to build cool products together. And it's kind of fun to figure out the business terms. It's like, wait, do we pay you, or like, are you paying us, or like we're both paying, or what if things go really well, or what if they don't go well? And usually we do these with good companies, and there's mutual interest, and so there's a lot of learning. Something else you mentioned I want to touch on is the community aspect. We launched on Kickstarter, so to say community is important to us would be an understatement, because Nomad is community. Like, our customers made us possible. And after Kickstarter, all of the other initial customers, they were doing the same thing. They were bringing this into creation. They were customers that brought us into existence. And it was through them that we came into existence. And we had the cart in front of the horse. We had all these orders we had to deliver. We went over to, we started manufacturing original in California, not the best place to make consumer electronics. We learned. We got our butts over to China. We started manufacturing there. We were always trying to play catch up, and we'd be 4 weeks delayed on shipping, 3 weeks delayed on shipping. And I remember when we finally caught up and we were fully caught up, we, probably, cracked a beer open or something to celebrate. It's like, wow, we're actually shipping the products now that we're making. So the Kickstarter thing went on for quite a while. And we see comments. I just saw a comment the other day on Twitter from a Kickstarter customer, and like, our customers are so near and dear, and we listen to them. They give us ideas, and like they made us come into existence. And I know that sounds like such corporate speak that you see in these like Fortune 500 companies, and it's like, it's true. Like, this is a Kickstarter company, and they're amazing. Like, I love connecting with our customers. Our head of support works out of here in Santa Barbara. I was just chatting with her earlier today, and sometimes they can have issues that are problems for us to deal with, and that's not always the most fun thing, but we're grateful to everything we learn and improve on, and like we exist because of them. So we look at them as well as partners, because like they submit really good ideas, and they submit problems in our products that we need to improve. And I always say we need to test our products as much as possible, because if we don't find the problem, we can be sure our customers will. And so they hold us accountable, and they make us a better company and build better products. And that's what we're trying to do, is build the best products we can.
I couldn't agree more with everything you said around community. As is kind of like a bit of a different story of how we've kind of like, we've cultivated our community. But yeah, I was really keen to ask you about that, because it's something we focus on a lot, and take inspiration from you guys and similar brands. At what point did you realize that this was going to be like I don't know, maybe you always thought it was going to be big, but was there a point in the kind of first few years when you were like, okay, this is something a bit special?
Yeah, that is, we really believed, we were excited. If you saw us, we went to the first CES show the first CES show that we went to was in 2013. We launched on Kickstarter in 2012. So it was, 6 or 7 months later, and we were beaming. Like we looked, or we thought we had like cured cancer or something. We were just ecstatic. And here we are, a couple of guys with, portable USB cable. In fact, we had only a handful of units that even worked at that time. So, but we believed in what we were doing. We were on a mission. And I think it's really valuable to believe in what you're doing and to be on a mission, because these, and I know you know this well from your own journey and your own work and what and Holme and Hadfield and building products and what you guys are doing. And there's a lot of there's a lot of challenges along the way. So believing and I used to say, like, get drunk on your idea. And I mean that in two ways, though I don't want to endorse drinking. Like, sometimes, having a few too many drinks, you can get deeply into it and get deep in there and have some late night ideas, write those ideas down so you remember them in the morning, but really get drunk in what you're doing, get deeply embedded in it, in the, what are you doing and why, and the materials, and like, what's the problem you're solving. And we're creating portable power, so you're protecting your phone. The Apple Watch, man, we stayed up late talking about Apple Watch before they even announced Apple Watch, and we were ready with products before they were even shipping. We were there because we believed in it. We talked about the Apple Watch as, the history of the telecoms, going from logging towers to grandfather clocks to the phone to on your wrist, and we're going to be there to empower that, to build these tools for the modern nomad. We were drunk on these ideas, and that gives you a little bit of the sort of energy that you need to go out there and build something that doesn't exist. A lot of times when you're doing something new, people are telling you that's a stupid idea. 5 reasons why Apple Watch will be a failure. I remember all the articles like that. And in order to build something that's successful, you often have to take almost this contrarian standpoint and this alternative view and believe in something that's not there yet and go uphill against a lot of grain. So one of the best ways to do that is to be kind of, so drunk on your idea, and good drunk in the sense of, you need to have a theory and a story that you can believe in, and that you can move forward. And if you're making good moves and listening to feedback and getting that early customer base that's kind of aligned with you and they're slowly building, then that helps generate the positive energy so you can march forward together with their support and build those products and build the company.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, and I think you have to have those wins along the way that can maybe get you over those points that you've been discouraged. Because something I wanted to ask you about, because you're building, you mentioned you're an unofficial partner for Apple. Apple are known to change the sizes of things, change like the specifications of things like quite regularly. How do you deal with that? Like that must be super frustrating, because I assume you don't have a direct line into them. And so one day you're just suddenly like, oh my God, does this happen? You've suddenly just got all these almost unsellable or devalued products because you've made it for a specific, dimension or whatever. And then Apple have just kind of flipped the script.
Yeah, people always ask this question, and of course I love responding, oh, how do we know? Well, we get the memo from headquarters every day. And of course we're tuned into the rumor mill just like everybody else, or perhaps a bit more than everybody else. And that having antenna for that is really, really tricky, because it's like when you're on the front edge of something, it's foggy. It's not totally clear. Hey, what's Apple doing next? It's like, not totally sure. Like, this is what I kind of think, but you need to make big moves. Okay, let's navigate to the right. Let's navigate to the left, full steam ahead. Because you can't wait for something to be obvious to then go doing, especially if you're trying to be on the front edge, maybe developing new accessories or staying in line and, building things that are, being on that front edge. So we are attuned to these things, and on certain aspects, certain dimensions, there's always, there's stuff, information or rumors or speculation floating around, and we generally are pretty good about being on top of it, but not always. I remember a few years ago going into the Apple store with a bunch of our cases that we had just made in September, ready for launch, and trying them all on in the store and testing. And I think one of our models out of the 18 distinct units, right, different sizes for the different phones, one of them actually didn't work. And I was thinking to myself, phew, only 1 out of 18, yeah, that's several thousand units or whatever it is there, but it could have been a lot worse. So it's not like it always works out totally perfectly, but we're pretty good. And then in terms of, taking one further step back in terms of like thinking about, okay, what's next? These things in retrospect, they look obvious. So obviously Apple Watch was going to kill it. But I mean, we were believing in that from before. We actually wanted to do something for smartwatches before Apple Watch was launched, because so if you're driven by something like we believe in this space, then we're ready for it. We're not going to second guess ourselves when we see the, Forbes article of 10 reasons why Apple Watch will fail, because we already know what we are set on. And then that gives us some direction to act early and decisively, which is what you need to do when things are early, because there is a lack of full information or clarity.
Totally. Yeah, I can't imagine that planning on all of that, but I guess you guys are pros at it now, so it's par for the course with what you guys do. I'm always really interested when people are, actually interested on the solo entrepreneurs and then the guys who are, co-founders. Having a co-founder myself, there's a lot of emotional support that I get from him, and we often say it to each other that we just could not imagine doing this on our own, just because of, I think that is mainly it, really. And then having the conviction behind your own decision, it's really nice just to be able to say, do you think this is the right decision as well? And because you're making like a few big calls, could you ever see you, like, looking back on this, could you have ever done this on your own, or is it only where you're at today because there's two of you with like complementary experience and personalities?
It's fun connecting with you, given that you've got a strong co-founder relationship there, because there are different types of companies, and every company has a different story and a different journey. There are, I guess, different dynamics. There's it's Brian and I've chatted about this before, and like, where I came to is like we both would have gone on to do something. Brian maybe would have gone, I know he was interested in going to grad school. He actually had a background in film and had made some cool films at a really young age. He was doing cool stuff. Where would that have taken him had we not bumped into each other? I was very determined on this ChargeCard project, but like, I mean, I fully recognize that I'm someone who I think I work best with other people. So like, and like I mentioned, there was another guy at the time who helped get things going as well, but didn't quite have that long-term stamina, because it's a huge thing in your life. It's a full-on takeover, and that's something to recognize. And so maybe I would have kept on trying, find someone else, or maybe it would have gone a different direction, and then ChargeCard maybe didn't develop into everything that it's developed into. So it's always one of those things in life where I wonder what would have happened, and would I go back. And it's like, despite all the challenges that we've had, despite this insane amount of stress and tension during really difficult times, difficult times really cause a lot of strain and stress on a relation when you're all invested in, and you don't have a lot to show for this, and you're not doing well, mentally, physically, socially, whatever. I mean, tough times are tough. And, but when I think of all of that, despite all of that, like, I'm so stoked with what we've been able to accomplish together. And of course, I need to bring in the incredible team that we've built, that has all been part of this to make this possible. But like, just from, and from the co-founder side, like, I wouldn't go back, because I'm so stoked with where we are. And not only that, I'd say we still have a lot to do. So we haven't kind of completed the journey, but we've got more experience under our belts now, so we kind of know more. We do have a little bit more clarity. It's almost like we have better instruments to navigate that fog, and we have a better ship to weather the rough seas, and we have a better team to help do this all in better ways. I mean, we have these team members now that are so incredible with content creation, with customer relations, and managing an international customer relations team, with engineers. I mean, Brian was always the kind of homemade engineer when we were early on building these products, but he's not an engineer. We're hacking it together and giving instructions to factories and stuff, and we were pulling a lot of stuff out of thin air. So it's incredible what the resources that we have now to kind of at this next stage of the company.
Awesome. Do you I feel like for a brand to get to the size that you're at, you need to have like a healthy relationship with risk. I would assume, because that's kind of something that we're always not battling with. Just like we've taken some pretty big risks, but backed by sound decision, sound reason because of what is behind it. But still sometimes can just be really difficult in that moment when you're doing what you're doing. You're about to put huge amount of money behind a purchase order for a new product, but you're super confident with it. Would you say that you've had to have there been any times where you've thought, wow, we're really having to back ourselves here, this isn't something I feel like incredibly comfortable with, but I believe in it so much, and I want to like push forward? And I asked that question mainly because I feel like hearing these kind of stories give us more inspiration to do more of the same and be brave and be bold. Is that something you've had to do a lot of over the 11-year period?
Yeah, risk is a really interesting thing, because when we look back, I mean, we on so many occasions put it all on the line. And I'd only like using the word betting because I like to think that risk is more calculated and something that you believe in and that you recognize. But there are times where it's almost like you're almost like you're betting. Maybe it is betting. You want to put the odds in your favor. Okay, I believe this is a good strategic bet. There's this incredible book about the power of betting, and their main point really resonates there. But there is a lot of risk involved. Like, you put yourself on the line, and you put everything that you have on the line, and you put your reputation on the line, and everything and everyone and everyone in your family and all your friends, and of course the people you bring on board. And so that creates a lot of stress. So the funny thing is that so much risk is involved that you're sort of like, how do I de-risk? Like, how do we build stability? How do we get out of the risk mess? And how do we, these crazy people that wanted to jump in the deep end of all these things, how do we like be almost boring and safer, like all about safety now, in terms of but what's interesting is that by doing that, by building some stability and some safety and some processes and this customer base and more ability to sort of create and define our destiny rather than like betting it big and being at the whims of how some certain launch goes, that actually allows us to unleash our potential and be our best selves. If we can build a strong mothership, a strong sort of base camp of operations, we can then actually go out and build really cool products that we believe in and take on new categories and do some bold moves and things that we believe in. It actually allows us to kind of take more risks. So in recent years, we've really been trying to build that kind of stability so we can be our kind of organic company self. So yeah, it's a really interesting thing where you kind of, in a way, you're trying to like de-risk.
Hey, Phil here, co-founder of Holme and Hadfield. Just interrupting the episode to let you know about something truly special to us. Community is a huge part of everything we do, and so we've created a Facebook group where we share our newest ideas and get feedback from you, our customers, to make sure we're developing products that you actually want to see. In return, we give away free products regularly. We're probably giving away a free product right now, and huge discounts of up to 35% on all product launches. Whilst this began as something fairly simple, it's grown into an amazing community of like-minded people. And so if this sounds like something you could be interested in, I've left the link to the group below in the description. So come join us. It's free, and you never know, you might enjoy yourself. Okay, back to what you came here for, the episode. Yeah, no, totally. I think, yeah, as I said, like having that healthy balance between the two, which is something we're always trying to strike. In terms of, I think I need to get onto the. I could ask you questions all day about your story, but I'm conscious that everyone else has got a lot of questions. But just for you, like, what's the vision for you guys? Like for the next 5 years, or maybe you have a longer vision than that. What would you say that is?
Well, yeah, longer vision than 5 years is a tough one. I mean, I will.
Yeah.
I would say, I would love for Nomad to continue to exist as a company for good in the world that builds great products and has a bigger purpose than that, that's using great materials on the front edge, that's solving problems, giving people utility in their life. We say we build tools for the modern nomad, and as all the advancements and everything going on, how will lifestyles change in 5 or 10 years? And I hope we can be a relevant part of people's lives, as their desk setup, of their hybrid workspace, of their everyday carry, of keeping them protected and charged, keeping them protected and charged on the go. So in terms of like more immediate plans, we have a lot of products in the roadmap, a lot of good stuff. We have, refined updates and upgrades to existing categories, as well as new products altogether. There's some huge changes going on right now. Every once in a while in our space, we'll see some big changes. When we first started Apple, the iPhone was on the 30 pin, and then it went to Lightning, of course. So now there's Qi 2 is coming onto the space. So there's a whole opportunity in portable power and in all the different aspects of that, in charging stands and mounts and all these things. So we love these when things change like this, because it's fun and exciting to be on that front edge. Of course, it's a little bit tricky and challenging, and what about all the old stuff? And people are always like, dude, does it suck? Do you have to like change when Apple changes? It's like, yeah, we do, but that's kind of the game we're in. So that's exciting. So we have a lot of stuff in the works, and the iPhone's going to USB-C. And sometimes people ask us like, are you going to make something for Android? I'm like, we've been making one of the best cables for Android for like 8 years or 9 years. We were one of the first, if not the first, to do a 4-in-1 cable that was the USB-C to C with an A on one end and a micro on the other. And we're not partial to iPhone, though most of our customers are iPhone customers. So Apple going USB-C is really interesting. So there's some interesting stuff going on, and it's a really exciting time in the world of product development. And I'm particularly excited about 2024 and beyond. We have a ton of great stuff this year, but with some of these updates that are happening, it's allowing us to build out that kind of near term roadmap.
It's really difficult to live in the moment when you're an entrepreneur, isn't it? Because even now, we're in May, and you're already thinking about 2024. I was speaking to Ian, my co-founder, the other day. We were talking about 2025. And it's like it's difficult to enjoy what's going on right now because you're just so excited about what's coming. I'll jump into the questions from our audience, and actually I'll touch upon it because you just mentioned it. Then quite a few people asked about Android goods and make stuff for like Samsung, but you've just said it, right? So you already do produce goods on the Android side. Is that something you want to do more of, or is it? Yeah, maybe if you could maybe give a little bit more detail on that.
The original product, the ChargeCard, was actually kind of conceived of in the era of BlackBerry, where BlackBerry had the majority of the market share. And as we all know, iPhone took over pretty quickly there. I don't see iPhone being dethroned anytime soon. It's an incredible phone, and it's really powerful. And there are some great Android devices out there, but as well. And we are actually close. We were part of the MFG Made for Google program, and the Google Pixel is a super badass phone, an incredible camera. And so we're excited to build for Android, and excited for the challenge. Sometimes they might allow like higher wattage chargers or this or that. It pushes us on certain boundaries or beyond certain boundaries, and that's exciting. We often don't do cases, or we almost no cases for Androids, though we have before, and we certainly could again, and it kind of depends on what our market is and where the market is. Cases are tricky because they generally only last for one generation of the phone, and it's like all the sales happen at one quick period, and then inventory becomes old. So we're a little bit more excited on the charging aspect, and there's a really cool the Pixel Watch. Maybe there's some opportunity there. It also depends on what is allowed to accessorize, and some of those things are still evolving. I'm wearing an Aura ring right now, and
Me too.
the product team's gonna get mad at me. Oh, there we go. The product team's gonna get mad at me for throwing their ideas out there, but I'm just like, this thing's incredible. Blows my mind, and I'm like, you know what though? It sucks to charge, and every time I am on a little extended weekend trip or something, my Aura ring died. What was my sleep score? So I'm thinking like, is this something we should be building for? But there's just a lot of potential out there, and we want to make sure we're building stuff that's relevant. And Android is highly relevant. We build incredible cables. We were like one of the first cables to be, I can't remember if we were the first one over like it's 130 watts, but we've done some really badass stuff with Android, even though it's a much smaller part of our program than iPhone.
So it's just so interesting you mentioned, or I noticed it on your hand, and I was like, I'm gonna ask about that after we stop recording. I'm like the least observant person ever. I'll come home and my girlfriend might have dyed her hair black, she's blonde, and I just won't realise. But if someone's wearing an Aura ring for some reason, I clock it. I'm like, I think I'm like a little bit getting to the point where I'm a little bit too obsessed with it, like what my sleep score is. It's the first thing I check every single morning. It's amazing.
It's I'll tell you from the side of and I know you guys are building products too, so but like from that side of things, it's like it's really impressive. It almost sounded like bullshit. Like, is this really gonna be able to do all these things? And I'm so impressed by the product. So it's cool. Yeah. And I love seeing things again that we see well done. It's okay, how can we be better? How can we make something smaller or thinner or stronger, or withhold up to something that can withhold more harsh environments, and all these different things. So these are things that help us become better ourselves.
For sure. So what inspired you, this is a great question, what inspired you to create luxury goods in a relatively utilitarian function over form market, besides the gap in the market, obviously?
Yeah, so this is a really great question, and I was having a little conversation with one of our product, someone from got on our product team earlier today about this, and it's like we don't really think of ourselves as a luxury brand. We're building tools for the modern nomad, and in doing so, you think about maybe a more the nomads in human history, right? They're on the go. They're going to own very few things, and the things that they own are going to be very well made, right? They can't be carrying around a bunch of extra junk with them. And so, you're setting up camp, you're moving forward. So the things that you own are going to be very well made. Now, what that means is you're going to have, the best sword possible. And if you come across a better one, you might upgrade from your previous one. And now, you have that better one. So in some way, almost everything that you own is the best that you have found and come across and been able to acquire, right? So, in the modern nomad, this is their sword. And this is the tool that they use for so many aspects of their life. It's funny, it's called an iPhone, but often using it as a phone is one of the last things we do with it. And it just has so many different functions. And so we're using best-in-class materials to meet the purpose of the design. We do all these different things to build the best product possible. In so doing, I guess it kind of can become a luxury product in that regard, but we're not trying to go, oh, we're trying to make this luxury product so much as we're trying to build the best product. And through doing that, I guess there ends up being this aspect of like, it falls into that. There's aspects that make it fall into luxury, but to me, like, luxury is something that's really well made and really portable, or a portable cable that's there with you when you need it and out of your way when you don't. The luxury is that convenience. And so we're trying to build things that are ultra compact and portable and integrated in your everyday carry. We change our socks and our their underwear every day, but we have the same case on our phone and on our AirPods and all these things that we carry with us every single day. So if you carry these things with you on your person in this life journey, you carry these 5 or 6 things every single day, well, they better be protected with a well-made case, or, you know, you better have a strong, why do we use Kevlar in our cable? We're trying to build a rugged cable. You can walk your dog with that cable as a leash. So if you're going to be carrying these things with you every day, we want them to be truly well made. And these are sort of product aspects that I guess then start to overlap in luxury, but almost by happenstance of our product pursuit.
Yeah, totally. Well, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're making products that you personally would want to use, and therefore you've got a high standard for that. And to do that, it costs a lot more money to make that quality that you produce, and therefore it just costs more to the end customer, but they're happy to pay it because they know what they're going to get, and they get it consistently every time. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, you look at I try to think about products that are maybe even almost on our fringes, because we've expanded our range a lot. We used to just be cables and then Apple Watch and portable power and all these different things. We make a pen, a titanium pen, and it's CNC'd out of a solid piece of titanium. It's really expensive to make, and it's kind of a costly pen, but when you look at all the aspects and the qualities of it, it's like, and I use using that example just because it's kind of this extreme thing of that we make this titanium pen. But when you look at the qualities and the craftsmanship, it's expensive to make. If we could, we're building the best products we can in the best ways that we can. And then, of course, plastics are really incredible, interesting material as well. I'm really actually excited about bioplastics and where things are headed, but there's so many aspects that you can do there. And obviously plastics can be a lot less expensive. So, we can have our sport range of products, and we have products that cost $10 and products that cost $300. And, we use them all, and the same customer that could be buying a $300 one could be buying a $10 one.
There's actually a few material related questions. So someone's asked, do you plan on offering a full leather case without any plastic backing? And then someone's asked about any more products that would be made, that you're going to produce that would be made of wood. So two material related questions.
Well, so it's funny is that I think what they're asking about that plastic backing is they're probably referring to our full leather wrap case, which typically, whether Nomad or anyone else would typically have some sort of backing, typically a plastic backing to hold the form. But I think they're referring to the full edge wrap. Our original case that we did build, which I believe was for the 6S, and then the 7 was a fully wrapped leather case. So that was the original product that we made. And we are absolutely looking into that as well, to bring something to do again. We're really excited about biomaterials. So could we do that with biodegradable adhesive, with a recycled or recyclable plastic? So we don't want to just bring that back. Maybe, we could, but we want to do it in a way that fits with our kind of company mission and product vision.
Awesome. And then someone asked about any plans for products made of wood.
Right. Wood's an incredible material, and love wood. We've made I think our first wood product was actually this really cool power pack that may have been our first power pack that it's made of walnut. And we have our base station hub. We don't have anything much with wood in the works right now, but I would piggyback off that and parlay it into the fact that wood is obviously a kind of can be a sustainable material, assuming that it's sustainably, grown and harvested, and it's a really amazing material. And there's all sorts of woods and grasses and bamboo fibers and stuff like that. We're so actively looking in all of that, and there's so much cool stuff to do there. And one of the most exciting things in the product world is these new materials. There's like a materials revolution going on right now with I can imagine the people who first started working with plastics 100 years ago or so. It was just this really cool chemical thing, petroleum-based stuff that you could do all these different things with it. And we have a modern version of that excitement going on right now in the biomaterial space, whether bioplastics or biofibers or bio leather and mushroom leathers. There's all this cool stuff. So a lot of it's not ready just yet. So we make prototypes of things that we can't produce at large scale just yet, but we know it's coming and we have stuff in the works. So there's a lot of excitement, which I would say include wood, but certainly not limited to wood. And there's just so much exciting stuff there.
How do you decide on a new color for a watch band? I guess colors in general. Color's an interesting one. What's your process for that?
So I would say in more recent times where I would say we've made some badass colors that have gone over extremely well. We've been selling out. We've done some limited edition runs that have just sold out immediately. First of all, everyone has an opinion. Color is, if you want to start an argument in the office, start talking about color or post a color thing in Slack. And so Brian, my co-founder, and Nick Walden, our creative director, they are kind of the color oracle signer offers. And we all have opinions. I have strong opinions. It's it's a process, and opinions need to be. We need to, a lot of time when you're choosing something, you're looking at. There's so many different things like trends. What do you think? What are you seeing out there? Again, it's a bit of that vibe check, gut check. It's not totally obvious that fog I was talking about. And then you also have to, again, get drunk on the idea and believe in it. So you need to, we can't be second guessing, but they've done a really good job. And color is so funny. It sounds so simple, but it's definitely one of the more challenging things. And I'm so stoked. And it takes some time till after we've launched everything to really appreciate it. And it's like, I saw a girl in yoga the other day wearing one of our Sage Slim sport bands, and it looked really good. And I asked her about it after yoga. I was fearful that it may have been a copycat. There's these copycats these days. And she mentioned that it's Nomad one. And I asked that she loved it. And I asked her if she wanted any other color, what would that color be? And she's like, actually, this is my favorite color. I love this one. So I'm always trying to do my own little touch of market research here and there. And just one of the little factors that you factor in. But yeah, it's tricky, and you got to sign off on it. And I got to, shout out in Danny as well, senior content at Nomad. She has a lot of strong, good thoughts and ways in there. So it's a team process, and Brian, Nick, and Danny, they kind of they get to make the tough decisions, and it's a tough one.
Yeah, I'd say color preferences, and you hear people's different opinions, makes you realize how different people are. Some of the requests we get are crazy. I'm like, what? You want it in that color? Makes no sense. I'm conscious of time, so I just want to try and get through a few more if we can.
Absolutely.
People, there's a lot of questions around what's coming up product wise, anything exciting coming up. I know obviously you don't want to like ruin surprises, but are there any hints or anything you could get people excited about? Like, is there anything that's on the horizon?
Yeah, so I've dropped a few little tidbits here and there throughout the discussion. We have Chi2 is coming out. We have so that's a lot of opportunity to develop stuff there. And we have USB-C coming out with iPhone. Portable power is something that's near and dear to me, that kind of was the first thing that we ventured into. And as we ventured into so many other product categories, it's like we got all these different plates spinning, and that first plate sort of slowed down a little bit. So we need to get some more energy there. Just yesterday, I was looking at some of the latest stuff we've got going on with product team and portable power, and I think it's the perfect time for a little bit of a renaissance there. We're having this like company renaissance. It's 11 years. We just had 3 years of COVID. It's like, okay, let's let's go, let's get back out there and all this stuff. And it's really reinvigorating. So in the product space, I think portable power is definitely on the docket. And we used to do a lot of cool, interesting, kind of quirkier stuff. This is our Nomad wallet. It's a charging wallet. So you can see you plug in, that's micro USB there. It has lightning that comes out here. So you can plug that into your phone and charge. Back when iPhone batteries were smaller, this could actually give you quite a bit of a charge. And this is this beautiful Horween leather that we use. And it's a really nice wallet, actually. It's really beautiful. I still carry some of our old products around. So when I look at some of the stuff that we did early on, I just think like we did a lot of this really cool, quirky, interesting stuff. And we have a lot of this DNA in us. We've expanded our scope a lot. And I think that there could be this era of these cool, interesting things that we've done while refining, you know, our core offering as well, and integrating it into this wonderful new era. And that's why I'm just so excited about what's ahead. So I can't like fully unveil our product roadmap, and frankly, it's not fully even finalized, but we've got some really good stuff in the works. And it's what we do. It's what inspires us.
We mentioned it earlier about collaborations. Someone's asked how are collaborations to work with? I assume like, yeah, what are the good points and bad points about collaborations? And someone's asked, do they ever go bad and you don't release them? Maybe you don't, maybe without naming names if that has happened, but has that ever happened?
Got it. That's such a good question. We probably I mean, that's totally right. They don't always go well. We you know, that the one for Pebble, they actually ended up kind of selling and sort of having a whole bunch of financial troubles and stopped developing Pebble. And we actually ended up giving our little things away because they were kind of going under or going out or switching up. We were like, we launched the portable cable for it. You know what? We're giving away to the community, to the crowdfunded community. We went on Reddit and they had some code, and it was this whole fun thing. We figured, let's just connect with the community. I'll know this because we were such big Pebble fans. And so we tried to turn that to a positive. I'm sure there's something that we've done that hasn't gone well totally. I can't even remember because, you know, you kind of don't get focused. You sort of forget about those bad experiences. We've got a really exciting one in the works right now with Peak Design. And we're working on a cool case with them. So if anyone's listening this far into the podcast, there's a little sneak peek that I don't know if a sneak peek on the peak. I don't know if we've mentioned anywhere yet, but that's been a really incredible process for us. They're a great company, so it's cool for our team to get to work with them and what we learned there.
Awesome. What's the design thought process philosophy? The products have always been very polished and have thoughtful design, which is obviously a very nice thing to hear about you. But what is the process? Because you mentioned earlier, it's probably refined since the beginning days when it was just the two of you sitting there and kind of like, yeah, speaking to the factory. Like, how has that evolved? What does it look like today?
Yeah, so we it's definitely evolved. And if you look at our early products, you'll see like a lack of industrial design, strong on concept, but lacking in design. And you slowly see, I'll never forget, our first product, we didn't even texture the mold because that was going to delay it additionally. And we were like, what? Oh, we can't delay for texturing. And now it's like, let me see that texture book. Let me look through that again, and choosing all these different little details and stuff. And so the design is such an interesting word because there's so much to unpack there. There's the product design, there's the materials, there's the user experience. What is the concept? What are you doing here? What's the fundamental thing? So there's a holistic process in all those things. And we absolutely, especially in more recent years, have grown to become more refined, which is really important if you're going to be carrying these things with you every single day. And there's a lot of competition out there. And there's some just such subtle little features that you might have, even like the lip on the phone dropping a little bit at the lower edge of it so your finger can thumb up in a more effortless way. A lot of the design that happens, you might not even fully consciously be aware of it as a consumer because it's kind of like baked into the process, but we're constantly thinking about all aspects, materials, all the little details. We're driven by this, and the materials that we use. You know, if we're using a certain plastic, we're doing that deliberately for those product qualities. And so there's just we're a design and product company. So you know that is how we got started, and that's our DNA. So that is huge to what we do. But what's cool though is that product team connects with customer support. We get feedback from customers and they identify issues, and we there's a circular whole cycle going on, a virtuous cycle, as they say. And so anyone on the team at Nomad, finance, believe it or not, has ideated on ideas from the very concept of them and brought those into production. So it's, and we have really incredible, great, talented people on our finance team. And, you know, we all have a role to do to get Nomad healthy and strong and good and build it forward. And, you know, we need to divide and conquer sometimes. By all means, we can lend a hand and come together. And it's one of the fun things. Almost everyone who's ever worked at the company in any department, from shipping to departmental director and anything in between, almost everyone has left their touch on one of the products or one of the aspects or one of the items. And that's a really cool thing, because as much as, yeah, we have the product team and you know, Brian's done an incredible job on the, you know, as the product kind of co-founder guy, and we've built up some incredible talent internally. And of course, a lot emanates out of the product team, and that is the hub of that. But one of the best ways to be a good product designer is to be a good listener and a good watcher and a good observer, because so much stuff comes from the people who are using things, and that's really powerful for us.
Awesome. I've got one last question for you. I've got loads of questions that I haven't asked, and I apologise to everyone who has got questions, but unfortunately, yeah, I haven't been great at getting through them. But what would be, and this is something I'm interested in actually, because we have a lot of this, what's the one product that you have maybe always wanted to do but just haven't been able to do for a number of different reasons? Is there a product that's kind of just been sitting there on the list for a while, or even an area that you would like to go into that you just haven't been able to yet, and but you kind of you need to scratch that itch at some point?
That's such a good question, and I can already see different people from the Nomad team answering it. I know that yeah, Nick has some desktop items that he wants to do, and for me personally, I guess I can answer this from a personal level. I, you know, staying strong and relevant and portable power has always been important to me, but I guess that's not a fair answer because we have stuff in the works there. I wanted to say something to do with electric vehicles. There's a transition to electric vehicles happening, but then I think like we did the first charger, phone charger, wireless for the Tesla Model 3, and it was an incredibly successful product. It was totally awesome. We did that because we believed in it, and it did really well. So I guess I'm gonna have to give the sort of cop-out answer, but it is back to what I was saying earlier about materials. There's some of the sustainable materials that we want to use just aren't ready yet. And it's like, oh, that's such a cool mushroom leather or biodegradable plastic. And it's all really cool when you see the samples, and it's like, we're just not there yet. So I'm really excited. And I mean, we've got to make sure these things last. One of the key things about sustainability is durability. So we want to make sure that our products can be affordable, so people can afford to buy them, and it is not some like crazy expensive material to get our hands on. But I in the coming years, we're going to have more stuff, and I hope that we can kind of be at the front, you know, up there in the front of the pack there to the extent we can, because that's a really exciting area. Okay, I thought of my own personal one, solar. I've always wanted to do something solar. Wanted a solar charger. You know, many years ago when I was in college, I was in Africa for 2 months in Western Kenya, And we had this little product called Solio, is this portable portable charger thing you could plug into, and we'd have it out there all day and charge up from it back with the little Sony Ericsson. And you didn't need much power back then, and phones would last for like a week. And now we just use so much power on our phones, and as much as solar's evolving, it's not there yet. So solar, it's so fitting. Nomad solar, charge on the go. But I like every year I bring it up, and Brian's like, I know, but nope. It's just the technology's not there, and he's right. So that's my genuine answer there.
No, both great answers. I totally agree with the material side of things. It's something we would love to do a better job of, and have and we have gone down sampling processes in various different materials, but the actual practicality of it, coupled with the cost that we would have to pass on, just it doesn't work quite yet. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. The first part of the interview, I could just do that all day, and the second part, we have so many questions, so maybe one day we'll have to do a follow-up interview. And such a good sport for doing the video as well. I really appreciate that. Your background looks great, you look great, so don't worry about it.
All right. Thanks, Phil. Really appreciate it. Great to connect with you, and looking forward to catching up again. Be well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Noah. Really appreciate your time. Everything you're working on is super inspiring. Everything you're doing is really inspiring to us as a brand. Hopefully we can have you on again one day and answer the rest of the questions that I didn't get to ask. So really appreciate it. Thank you.